There were two moments that I would say were really challenging in the journey of my career. I've been able to be a part of these amazing companies and work with these huge artists and young artists that are just starting out. And it seems so glamorous, right? We see the glamour aspect of the success, especially with social media, and you end up posting the great moments. But there's also those challenging moments that people don't get to see, or how you got to where you're at, right? And I think that one moment that was like a defining moment, and I have probably two moments, but I'll start with the first one. In between looking for a job, I was at the Recording Academy, and I just couldn't land a full-time job. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I have the experience. I have a lot of knowledge. I went to school, like I've been actually like working at these companies. It's a blessing to work in those companies. And I ended up not having a job for a while. So I would go back and forth and temp, but I didn't have anywhere truly to stay, right? I didn't have a home base in LA, and I didn't have any money to pay to live in LA. LA is expensive. And so I'm like taking these temp jobs and shacking up with a friend who like let me stay at her grandmother's house for like the low. I'm doing that for like, okay, my temp job is for, 4 weeks. Okay, now I don't have a job anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and drive back to Phoenix because that's where my dad lives. So in between time, I would go ahead and drive back to Phoenix, and then I would come back to LA and do it all over again for 2 weeks for a temp job, right? Or in between, say there's a short period, I'm going to casting calls and, taking my $50 a day to sit in the audience casting, and I have $50 for food that day. And it allows me to stay in LA because now I can eat off of that $50. I got to go back tomorrow and see where the call time, where the call is, and I'll show up. But that was like, at one point I realized, I really wanted to do this because I was traveling back and forth for months. And, at some point I started to think, oh, is this for me? Should I stay in Arizona? Should I just get, a different type of job and a regular job? But I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep holding tight to what I see for myself, which is to live in LA and to work in music and to do the things I want to do. But that's where that networking also remained. So I'm like, I don't have a job, but I'm still outside, like meeting people, which is important to be outside. And so I'm meeting people and really just like building my circle, my network of friends, even though at that point, I'm like, I don't know what I can fully offer. Like, I don't know if you're hiring, but if you need me to work at the hookah spot, I'll do that. So I did that for a bit, but it was like that was a challenging moment. And what got me out of it was the network and the circle of people around me to be able to say, hey, look, I know this is what you want to do. For my friend to go ahead and say, here's a roof over your head during this time, I got you. I finally ended up getting out of it. And it was also my faith in God and being able to just stay steadfast and knowing that anything that I was brought out of before, he's going to bring me out of it again. And that has truly helped me through dark times. It tends to happen, or it has tended to happen in my times of pivoting directions of where I'm at in my career. Sometimes we get derailed by the things that are happening around us. If we're working at a company or we're part of a team and things aren't going the way that you would like it to go, or it's just not the right environment, right? Because your character might be different, or your beliefs might be different, and your vision might be different, to where at some point, if it's just you holding on to those things and you look around and you're like, well, if we're not going further in this direction, then I'm now an outcast. And so sometimes that ends up happening when you're working with others. That's why it's important to have a team that is so tight, and the bond has to be there. You have to be loyal. You have to have each other's back. You have to have a shared vision. Sometimes, like, your voice ends up getting small and minimized. And then at some point, and this has happened to me, where it's like at some point, I'm like, if I stay small, if I keep minimizing my voice, that becomes a habit. And I'm practicing that. And when you practice, whatever you practice, it becomes permanent. People say practice makes perfect. I was always taught practice makes permanent. So if I'm practicing stepping back and being small and no longer sharing my ideas, that becomes part of me. And that's not me. So I would say those are like the dark, the challenging times, to where you have to know when it's time to pivot out of a situation and change a new direction, because you don't want to lose yourself. And it's easy to lose yourself, especially when you're going after your dreams and other people are also going after theirs as well. If I could talk to the young Sierra, I would tell her, girl, you got it. It's okay to be an outcast. It's okay to be different. It is okay to not do what everybody else is doing. Just stay focused. All the things that, the negative doubts that people might share, it's all their own projections. Just because someone thinks that something is impossible doesn't mean it's impossible for you. And to really just keep going and know that everything's going to be great. And don't let others define success for you. Don't let others define your heights. And to keep utilizing your resources that are available to you. Seize those opportunities, because they don't come around too often. And make sure that you continue to give back to your community. I'm Sierra Lever, and I am a culture builder.